Alright, today's video is soccer, you guessed it. Alright, so before we kind of get into some of the skill cues, we're going to talk about how to play soccer and some of the rules. Kind of like the background of soccer. So pretty much for how to play soccer, you have 11 players on each team, including the goalie. So each of the goalies are in their own goalie box, and then you have each of the players. Some of the positions, I'm not familiar with the names because they've kind of changed, but I know that there's offense, there's defense, there's maybe like a midfielder, so someone kind of in the middle, and you could even have like side players like that just stay on the sides that basically run up and down looking for a pass or to score goals. And you also have offsides is a really big point in soccer that's different than other sports. So offsides is basically when your offensive team is past the other team's defense. So you cannot be behind the other defense's line without the ball. So if the ball is not on the other side, you cannot be on that side. It's offsides. And usually the ref will call offsides. They'll usually be looking for that, so they blow their whistle and either like maybe raise up a card or just acknowledge that you're offsides. And then so basically some of the same rules. You can still pass in soccer. You can't use your arms or your hands. Basically, only your feet. The only time you can use your arms or hands is when you're throwing in the ball. Any other time, it's basically a call. Like they sometimes give you a warning, like, oh, don't do that again, because a lot of people will kind of maybe run up to the ball and like want to like touch it like this or like pat it down with their hands. I know I used to do that a lot, but once you start playing, you kind of know how to do it and stuff. But if you are gonna be playing soccer, you can use your body, so you can run up to it, you can like use your chest, legs, you can even use your head. You can head the ball. That's another like experience thing that people do, which is kind of cool. I was never brave enough to do it, but you can. So I'm back. Some of the other rules are that there are only 3 substitutions during the entire game per team, so meaning you can only like switch out 3 players throughout the game. You can't be like doing it all the time. You gotta have enough time to play, obviously. And the beginning of the game starts with a kickoff. The kickoff is going to start in the middle of the field. There's usually a circle, and you can see where it's at. You have one team member from each team basically come up after a coin toss. Sometimes you can use a coin toss to determine who can go first, or you just kick off, obviously. And then you just kick it and you start to play. And then each half is 45 minutes. When I used to play, it was 30, but I know that in professional leagues they play 45 minutes, so a total of 90. And then it can always go past 90 minutes if the is either tied or not. Alright, so the first skill cue for soccer is going to be passing. This is pretty simple, but some people might not be able to do it, but I'm going to make it easy for you. So basically what we're going to do is going to start with a soccer ball, and whatever foot you use, like your dominant foot, so for me I'm going to be right dominant, so I'm going to be using my right foot to use the pass. My left foot and the other foot is going to be helping to either control it if I need it or while I'm running as well. So basically for a pass, we're going to start in kind of like a stance kind of thing. We don't want to be all like stiff and stuff. Kind of like bend your knees a little, and you want your other foot to be kind of planted to ready to go forward. So basically when you're going to be going forward, you're going to be using your other foot to kind of like go towards it, and you're going to be using the inside foot to kick it. So basically what I can do is I'm going to step up, I'm going to pass, and then you're going to have your other person either pass it back, or whenever they receive it, they can either throw it in, dribble, do whatever they want. But basically when the other person is going to pass it back, depending on how far they are, you want to either give it a good enough power to it, or if they're very close, just kind of give it a little bit of a tap. So if they are a little bit farther, you're going to kind of want to step back a little bit farther and then kind of give it a big old kick. But if they're not as far, you can just kind of give it a little like pass like I'm doing. So yeah. Okay, so this one's going to be for a throw-in, overhead throw-in for soccer. So basically for this one, you want your stance to be another key factor in doing a throw-in. So like I said, you have your dominant hands and dominant feet. So for the throw-in part, you're going to have your hands up like this, and you're going to have it above your head. That's the first part. Then for your stance, for when you're standing throw-in, you want your dominant foot to be in the back. So for me, like I said, I'm right, that's going to be in the back. So my other foot's going to be in the front. This leg back here is going to give you the power to go through with your throw. So basically I'll kind of give you a little rundown of it. So basically you're going to stand like this, kind of go up like this, soccer ball in the back. Make sure it's kind of all about, you don't want it to be like up here or like to the side or like this. You want it all the way in the back so you have a really good power throw when you do it. So basically when you do that, you're going to throw, toss, lean forward. I'll give you a better demonstration next, but basically you want that motion to go forward, and you want that back leg to kind of go forward and give you that power. So if I was to do a better throw and do it pretty far, this is how I would do it. I'd step forward, go through, and drag. Yeah. Alright, and then for the last skill cue is going to be for dribbling, which is also my peer teach for the class. But since we are obviously in the middle of a pandemic, we obviously can't have people in class. So this is me teaching the class, my peer teach, while also describing dribbling. So basically, to start with dribbling, the key factor is your footwork and your focus on the ball. So you don't want to be too focused on the ball where you're constantly looking at the ball. You kind of want to have, look up straight, and you want to make sure you're looking out for other people approaching you or even behind you, just being aware of like your surroundings as you dribble. So for starters, for dribble, the best thing to do, I would do, is small little, well, there's a big hill here, but small little like taps, like just kind of going like this. And then once you get this done, kind of controlling the ball, you can start to go forward, sideways, backwards, whichever you want to do. So basically I'm going to step back here to dribble forward, but basically when you're moving forward for dribbling, you want to, have a good stance, look up, don't be constantly looking at the ball while using the inside of your feet. You don't want to be, dribbling one way and passing it all the way over here and then dribbling all the way over here and trying to go get it. That's not going to give you the best control when you're playing a game of soccer. So for basically, what we're going to be doing is for your feet control, making sure it's close and stuff, using your dominant foot to control it more, but also using your other foot to kind of balance it when it starts to move. So you won't go like this, sorry for the wind. So yeah, so for my peer teach, what I would be doing is having cones set up. I don't have any cones right now, but I'd have probably 5 or 6 cones in 2 lines, so one here and one here, and you'd have people on each team going 2 at a time, like one after the other. And basically what you're going to be doing is dribbling through the cones, in and out through the cones. So this gives you practice with dribbling, also control, so controlling through the cones and making sure you're not going, all the way outside and all this other stuff. And it also gives you a chance to practice with other people if you need to. You can start out with just one line, having, just straight dribbling, or having both lines and doing dribbling, passing to the other line, dribble through a cone, and passing through the other line, kind of like a zigzag motion. And I will show a clip of the diagram after this so you can see what I'm talking about. But basically, it's a good starter for people with dribbling, because I think that dribbling is probably the most complicated with soccer. At least it was for me, and I know other people as well, because it's so hard to control the ball. And in soccer, controlling the ball is pretty key, with keeping it close to you, but also, if you have someone approaching you, making sure you know how to send the ball to your left or to your right, or pass it up to one of your players, so you know how to control it really well. So, and I keep repeating myself, but basically, it shouldn't be that hard with all these skills. It should be pretty easy and simple. And I hope that I kind of made it simple and easy for you. And then after this, I'll explain my 2 mini games for you. And lastly is the mini games, of course. Didn't forget about those. So my first mini game would be a perfect little warm-up for you at the beginning of your class to demonstrate one of your skills. And the skills that I chose, that I chose was dribbling. And so pretty much for this game, it's called Soccer Keep Away. You're going to have half your class defensive players, and the other half you're going to have people with the balls, which I guess you could say could be your offense players. So the people with the defense are basically going to try to steal the balls away from the other people. So whenever you say go, you can say, hey, try to, get as many balls as you can. And once they do, the people just switch. So once you steal a ball from Timmy, Timmy will now become the defensive player, and Bob will have the ball now, and you all switch roles, and you continue to do that after. So, and make sure you tell your students to do this kind of outside the area. You don't want to just switch right in front of the middle of the area, confusing other people, and also getting hurt, risking getting hurt. And like I said, this could last just a couple of minutes. It's just really good for the students to get familiar with dribbling, especially if you're going to be teaching it that day with a game or a bigger skill for the class. And then my other one's called musical balls, which is basically like musical chairs but with soccer balls. And I'm pretty sure you could use this for any sport game, you know, whatever. You can modify it however you would like. But when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about how to make it the easiest that you probably could for your students and the most fun, obviously, while they're still learning. So basically you can have 3 to 4 teams if you want, depending on how many students you have, and then you're going to have 3 to 4 players, probably in each group area, I would say, for teams. And basically each one's going to have a soccer ball, so you want to make sure you have enough for each of your students. And if you don't, then make smaller groups, or, you know, however you can modify that, or even maybe use other equipment. Obviously you don't have to use a soccer ball, you could use a foam ball, rubber ball, whatever, you know, just to make it easy and make sure everyone's included. But how to play is the teacher's gonna like start and, you know, say, oh, begin. You can play music, would be really good, like you do in musical chairs. That would make it easier for them to remember. Basically you're just going to be dribbling around the square area that you have, and then basically when the teacher says change or stop, you're going to stop where you're at with your ball and you're going to go find another ball. So basically like you do in musical chairs, you're going to find another chair, but you're going to find another ball that another person has. And what the teacher will do eventually throughout the game is after they stop, they'll take a ball out, and then if you're left without a ball, basically you're out of the game. But you can just go step aside and, you know, do some like dribbling skills, practice your throw-ins, or do like a couple of passes and then probably just come back in if you want. Or you can, we don't want any students sitting out, obviously, because we want 50-50 participation. But I would say instead of sitting out or coming back in the game, just practice on, you know, further throwing, dribbling, passing, just whatever they kind of want to do, or they could, you know, jump rope. Doesn't have to be soccer based. It could just be something that they're doing to be, you know, active while versus just sitting there. So I think that'd be a really good ending game for the class. Something for them to, like, you know, have fun with, but also like still practicing what they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, so that's my soccer video for you. I hope you enjoyed.